our leadership in the UAW is learning that we're different. I think things will get a whole lot better, and conservatives and liberals can come together as far as helping our workplaces be a better place.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Now we're going to go to talking to the folks at the UAW, or at Volkswagen, members of the UAW in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Before we get to them, though, I wanted to play a couple of minutes of one of Shawn Fain's videos about bargaining at Volkswagen in Tennessee. Let's listen to Shawn Fain.
Like many people, I wanted to believe Volkswagen management when they said they are a different kind of company, when they claim that they don't oppose unions and they believe in the right of workers to have a voice and rights in the workplace. It turns out that my hopes in Volkswagen management was just wishful thinking. This employer is no different from any other that we deal with. And after meeting with the company today, it is abundantly clear Volkswagen doesn't give a damn about you or your families. Management showed us today that they care more about their profits than about making sure you and your family have what you need to survive. And let's be crystal clear about why. Corporate greed. Management didn't want to hear it, but today your bargaining team gave them the hard truth, straight from the nearly 1,800 workers who completed our healthcare survey. And that truth is devastating. 1 in 3 Volkswagen employees struggles to afford Volkswagen's garbage health insurance. Nearly 3 out of 4 have had to choose between getting medical care or paying for rent and food. 3 out of 4. More than half of Volkswagen employees have been driven into debt, drained their savings, or even filed for bankruptcy because of medical expenses. 1 in 5 Volkswagen employees have had to take a second job just to afford medical bills. 1 in 5 Volkswagen workers rely on publicly funded TennCare, Tennessee's Medicaid program, to insure their children. And this is happening at a company that raked in $20.6 billion in profit last year. A company that paid their CEO $11 million last year. Think about this. Under Volkswagen's current offer, it would take the highest paid production worker in Chattanooga 163 years to make what the Volkswagen CEO makes in just 1 year. But Volkswagen doesn't just lavish profits on company executives. There's also plenty to go around for rich shareholders. In fact, Volkswagen has shoveled $30 billion into shareholders' pockets over the last 4 years through stock buyback schemes and dividends. Volkswagen has billions for rich shareholders. They have millions for company executives, but when it comes time to take care of the workers who produce the profits and the products, suddenly management claims there's nothing left.
So there you go, folks. Shawn Fain, international president of the United Auto Workers, talking last week in Chattanooga about the state of bargaining with Volkswagen. Here to discuss further, we have Chris Dyer and Michael Accetturo. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Both employees at Volkswagen Chattanooga in the finish department in electrical repair, members of the Volunteer Organizing Committee, VOC, of the UAW. Chris, Michael, welcome to the Valley Labor Report. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Really appreciate it, and appreciate your work, obviously, organizing Volkswagen in Chattanooga, the first foreign-owned automotive plant in the South to be unionized. It is a huge deal. So really appreciate that. Can Michael, how long have you been working there, and what made you get involved in the union campaign?
I've been there over about 2 years, a little over 2 years. I've worked union jobs in the past. I moved out here 3 years ago from Seattle. I worked at the Boeing company. I worked for Community Transit, which is a union. ATU organized company. And I grew up in a Teamster household. I've always thought that labor rights are very important, and we need to have safe and secure workplaces with job security and all those kind of things. And I saw a lot of my coworkers being intimidated and bullied by management here at Volkswagen, and I was really surprised they weren't already unionized. So I wanted to get on board and help get that ball rolling and get us what we need to have a great workplace.
Chris, what about you? How long have you been at Volkswagen, and what made you get involved in the union campaign? I'm not hearing Chris. Is Chris muted?
Yeah, he's sideways too.
Chris, I think you're muted. Chris, I can't hear you.
Hello? Okay, what about now?
Now I can hear you. Yes. Chris Dyer, appreciate it. Yeah. How long have you been working there, and what made you get involved in the union campaign?
14 years at Volkswagen, working electrical repair. I'm really thankful for my job. There's a lot of things that made me want to have a union. Can I give some examples, or
yes,
you want to do
please
that a little bit later?
Yeah.
Let's see. Tons of favoritism, whether you're kinfolk, friends, or the pretty girls. I hate it when they get the good jobs and you see 55 and 60-year-old people with 8 or 10 years experience still doing the hard jobs. And let's see, I hate seeing that years ago, the big bosses would brag about their bonuses. They'd post online, look at what I bought with my bonus. And it's like $30,000, $40,000 boats. And at that time, we didn't even get a bonus. Let's say, like, it's basically like they treat the workers that we had, the ones that do the work and build the cars. We have calluses on our hands. We're treated completely different than the people upstairs. And they like to put, well, I don't have a Volkswagen shirt. They put one team on our shirt and call us a big family. But the people that work there very long, you know, that's not true.
Right. Yeah, that sounds very frustrating, and that's the kind of stuff that happens in a union plant, even though and you know, we have people, you know, and one of those things that you mentioned was basically, you were alluding to the importance of seniority rights. You were talking about people who have been there for a decade or more still doing some of the hardest jobs in the plant, and we have people that reach out to us that are like, oh, you know, I hate, you know, a hierarchy of people who have been there longer getting the best jobs or whatever, and that's not right, or what. And that's crazy, because what that means when we talk about seniority, right, what that means is that you get benefit from having sacrificed so much of your life to a single company. If you have been at one company for 10 years, for 20 years, yes, you should get a benefit, not just for the work that you do that day or how efficient you are in the day-to-day, but for how much of your life you have sacrificed to that company. And I think that, you know, most people who think about it for a little bit can kind of understand that, but you're speaking there to kind of the visceral, you know, feeling of seeing that happen day to day, even as, you know, folks in an office somewhere have it better than everybody.
Right. And I have a few more examples if we have time to throw them out there.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a couple more.
Okay. There's how we're treated different. There's been two managers that got in a fist fight at work and they kept their job. But if me and Accetturo got in an argument and threatened each other, one of us is probably going to lose our job. And I've seen several times people that make threats. I mean, we work together a lot of hours, and sometimes we're going to get mad. And we deserve a second chance on most situations. And there was a time where an assistant manager got mad. He grabbed up a wrench and hit a hood. And because the CPA wasn't selling it because of quality issues, he threw the wrench down and walked off, and he got to keep his job. Another manager jumped a turnstile. And recently, one of our people, I think about 3 months ago, he jumped the turnstile and he got fired. So, I mean, we get tired of the being treated different, and it's just not right.
Right. Those are really important examples, and you know, why it's important to have a real defined process for things like discipline and termination and stuff like that. I mean, it's really important. Before we talk some more about some of the latest stuff, some of the stuff about negotiations. You know, Chris, we spoke last week, and I know that politically you kind of conceive of yourself as as more of a conservative type person. We've had conservative unionists on our program several times over the years, but there are still people out there who conceive of conservatism politically as being something that's kind of diametrically opposed to being a union supporter, to the cause of unionism. Why do you not see a conflict in, you know, kind of where you are politically and being somebody that is not only, you know, kind of passively supportive of unions, not somebody that's like, oh, you know, I'm happy for them that they have a union, or even that you voted for a union yourself? You are on the volunteer organizing committee. You are one of the people making the union happen at Volkswagen in Chattanooga. And so why do you not see that as conflicting with being, you know, kind of a conservative?
It doesn't have to be that way. See, this is the Bible. This is the Bible Belt. Our morals and beliefs are a little bit different than they are up north. We grow up doing things differently. Like, we believe that abortion, most of us say abortion is killing babies, and it's wrong. And for a long time, unions had very liberal people as the mouthpiece. And like, we didn't want to be associated. Like, some of the stuff on your show I don't agree with, but we can agree to disagree, and we can agree that unions are very helpful to all workers, conservative and liberal workers. It can help both of us. You know, like, say, during the last administration, the economy and inflation has got a lot worse, and a lot of conservatives have gained a lot more knowledge about the unions. Like, when I was going around telling people, and it's also something I had trouble with, I don't want my dues going to the Democrat side. I don't really want that. And well, we can sign a paper and say that we don't want our dues going toward politics at all. And in each local has control. A lot of people at work think that UAW is Shawn Fain and Chuck Bryan, and they come down here and tell us everything we have to do. They don't understand that our local votes on stuff. Like our previous try at getting a union, we voted that we wanted to have prayer before our meetings. And, you know, we have a lot of freedom, and we don't have to do everything that Chuck Browning and Shawn Fain. If we disagree with them, we don't have to do everything they say. So now that a lot more people are learning that in the South that we're different, and I believe that our leadership in the UAW is learning that we're different. And if they try to organize down here, we kind of need to treat us a little different and talk to us different. I think things will get a whole lot better, and conservatives and liberals can come together as far as helping our workplaces be a better place.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Can I jump in on this?
Yes, please do.
You know, born and raised in Seattle, and we all know the West Coast is very liberal. My whole family is very progressive left. But for me, I don't think politics belong in workers' rights. You know, I have conservative values, maybe not as strong as Chris, but that's not going to stop me from fighting for what's right. You know, the moral values that I see down here are a lot different than in the West Coast. And the people treat each other right down here. And that's very, very hard to see back home. It's but I'm very happy that I got to come down here and be a part of this culture, because it's a lot, for me, it's a lot better. The things they wanted to teach my child in school was horrible. I mean, that critical race theory, you know, transitioning kids without our permission, that to me was off the chain. And then the straw that broke the camel's back that had us move down here was my daughter was going to be in 4th grade, and they had sex ed from K through 12. And in 4th grade, they were going to teach about inappropriate touching, which I'm all for that, but then also self-touching. To me, you know, those kind of liberal views don't belong. That's perversion. So, you know, that's where I stand, why I'm conservative. And I feel that my views in that manner have no meaning with what we're doing at Volkswagen. I think the programs, the DEI programs that are at Volkswagen, I think they're harmful. For me, I feel it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. People are getting, promotions not based on their skill set, but their race, their gender, their identity, those kind of things. And I don't think that's right. And I think that's where we need some language in our contracts that are merit-based promotions, not, favoritism promotions, or you hit a couple check boxes that, are in that DEI kind of categories that get you promoted. I see leadership that's not leaders. They don't lead by example. They want to criticize how you do the job when they don't even know how to do the job. It's kind of ridiculous. Promotion should be merit based.
Yeah, and so, folks can very clearly see there that, there are some of the things that I would disagree. I would disagree with some of the things that you're saying there about, kind of whether or not even some of those things are happening. But I think the important thing, and we'll basically leave it there as far as the politics of it. And the important thing that I wanted to illustrate with that is that, and what one of the things that Chris said about the local autonomy and having prayers in union meetings. Frankly, most union meetings that I have been to have started with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, which, I think there, I think there's even a debate to be had about the appropriateness of that. But, that's just that people get to run their own institutions, and unions are human institutions. And so we get to run these kinds of our unions the way that we want to run them and the way that we see fit. And, and I think that, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with some of the DEI things as maybe you would, Mike, but there is a problem with management institutes, and we've talked about some of the problems with some of these management instituted DEI things, because management instituted stuff is never actually about wanting to see people improve. It's about saving their face and doing the thing that they feel like is going to get them, make them the most money for the least amount of pain or anything like that. And so, if we want to see an attempt to diversify a workforce or make sure particularly that black folks or other folks are not being discriminated against, that is something that is best addressed in a union contract that is actually enforceable and that both sides have agreed to, right? And so going into negotiations now, I played, as we came into this segment, Shawn Fain, an address that he gave on the state of negotiations. And it seems like the union is gearing up to begin taking a more aggressive stance against the company. I think for the last year, like he started off with, there's been a hope that Volkswagen, now that y'all have unionized, you have voted in favor of unionization, now that that's happened, there's been a hope that Volkswagen would negotiate in good faith and try to come up to the standards of union automotive manufacturing in the United States, or even union automotive manufacturing in Germany, what they do with employees back in their home country. And it's clear that that's not happening right now. And so what has led to the UAW and you feeling like a more aggressive stance needs to be taken, and why isn't the company willing to negotiate more fairly?
Well, we don't get to sit in on any of the negotiations, so we can't see what the company is actually doing. We get that opportunity this week coming up to be able to be a part of that. For us, I just feel that they're snowballing us, trying to act like they're just one little company, plant in America. We know they make $20 billion last year. We know they can afford to give us the quality health care that we need. We know that they can pay us the prevailing wage that we deserve. We just don't understand why they're not willing to do that. They give us no, logical reasoning behind that. In their little videos they send out, they're very vague. They don't say what they're asking us to give up so they can give us what we want. So I'm hoping this week we'll be able to see more of that and get a better understanding. On the floor, we don't get a lot of information except for going up and talking with our organizers.
And so for you two specific, oh yeah, go ahead, Chris.
And like on second shift at our meetings, we agreed to be nice and respectful, and we were doing that. And actually, one time, I felt we were disrespectful to Chris Glover, the old CEO, and I raised my voice to the union people. But those days are over with. Volkswagen has been too dumb and too greedy to understand they're going to have to pay us the UAW standard. I'm talking health insurance and profit sharing. Basically, the way I feel, the Mr. Nice Guy stuff, Mr. Nice Guy has totally just left the building. He's not even on the property anymore.
Right. Yeah. And so for you two specifically, you know, what are some of the most important things that you would like to see in a collective bargaining agreement?
Well, I'd like to see the prevailing wage that our brothers and sisters get, you know, at the big three. I'd also like to see proper health care. I had an incident with my daughter 2 years ago when I first started there. And after all was said and done, our insurance paid $136 and I had to pay $5,500. The bus company I worked for, Community Transit, back home, there was 800 people. Their annual budget was $56 million. We had Blue Cross Blue Shield premium healthcare. I had to pay 5% of the premium, which was $95 a month. I had no co-pays for in-house visits. I had $20 copay for out-of-network. I had a $50 copay for emergency rooms. The most I've ever paid for a prescription through that plan was $1. I mean, Volkswagen can provide that for us. I've been told their executives don't have to pay any premiums for their healthcare, and it's not even the same plan that we get offered. The best plan they have is $450 a month, and I don't know who can afford to take that out of their monthly income to pay for that kind of stuff. You know, healthy workers with good healthcare for physical and mental health come to work healthy, and they can perform, and they can do a great job. And I don't understand why Volkswagen doesn't see that aspect of it. I think a lot of it is just that corporate greed. That they want to be able to get that bottom line. They don't care if we're provided for or not. I feel, I mean, just basic business says that the people on the production floor are the assets. The people that work in the spine and the administrative side, excuse me, sorry, are the liabilities. Because what they're performing doesn't make the company profit. The job they do does not make the company any money. It's the stuff we do on.
No way.
It's the stuff we do. I think you broke up there, but I think that we got it. And so as we're wrapping up then, how are y'all as the volunteer organizing committee on the shop floor building support for a more aggressive campaign against the company?
Okay, I don't know if he's still here or not. It doesn't show him moving. Basically, as the VOC, after our all-team meetings, we give out all the current UAW information at the meetings. Recently, we've been wearing our UAW shirts at work because the CEO has came down and threatened people about wearing our shirts, and we believe it's violating our NLRB rights. Are you back, Mike? I can't tell if he's back or not.
No, I don't see him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to get
there
back
he
in.
is. Okay, I won't talk about the NLRB stuff. I'll let you about our shirts. I'll let you talk about that, but I'll finish and let you do that. And we're just basically, as a VOC, letting the people at Volkswagen know that you don't have to be afraid of your supervisors or HR anymore. We have rights, and HR will not intimidate us. Like a couple weeks ago, we were walking through the plant where when we're not clocked in and we're in a non-work area, we're allowed to have our shirts, we're allowed to have our signs. Well, I held a sign up as I walked by HR, and HR boss, he came out, and I felt like he was trying to intimidate me. And I'm like, hey, I'm not getting paid. You know, you can't tell me what to do when I'm not getting paid and I'm in a non-work area. And we've got to stand up for each other. And that's a lot of the things that we do. And back to the CEO. The CEO, when he told the people on BA6 to take their shirts off, he didn't even have a Volkswagen team wear on. So we're not going to put up with stuff like that anymore. And earlier, Mike was talking about that woman that gives the rundown of the contract from the Volkswagen side. And a lot of us think she's very condescending or better than us, kind of. It's just her tone, the way she talks to us. We're getting tired of that kind of attitude. Hey, Mike, if you can, talk about the NLRB and our rights on our clothing.
Well, according to what I read on their website, is that we are able to wear our union insignia or shirts in the workplace. And it's up to the company to come up with the special circumstances to the NLRB on why that the shirts would be, maybe say, dangerous or detrimental to us in our work area. Our shirts are 100% cotton, our union shirts, which is same as the Volkswagen team wear.
And they're made in America, too.
And they said also in their email that it's a security issue because security doesn't know if we're contractors or Volkswagen employees. Well, if I can badge in through the gate, obviously I'm meant to be there for one. And every Wednesday when we walk by them, I make sure to acknowledge them, say hi, hello. They never even question, am I an employee or a contractor? So I feel that their special circumstances are null and void at that point in time. I let our supervisor read that ruling the first day we wore the shirts, just to inform them that, we do have rights. And, he still had to do his job, and we respectfully took off our shirts so we weren't viewed as being, gosh darn it, I lost the word, but insubordinate. And we did that the first 2 times, but the last 2 times, they haven't said a word to us about it. Now, I know I was trying to get a bunch more people to start gathering in on this and wearing our shirts so we could show a consistent behavior by the company to violate our rights. And then at that point in time, then we have, a bunch of names and a bunch of incidents on the same, violation that we can file a complaint with the, National Labor Relations Board about them violating our rights. So I think the more we can inform our coworkers that by wearing our shirts and wearing them through the ship, that we can't be intimidated. Chris and I are not going to be intimidated by the company. We come there, we do our job, we do a really good job, we work hard, and I just feel that the company doesn't want to recognize the hard work that we do. So,
Chris Dyer, Michael Accetturo, employees at Volkswagen Chattanooga in the finished department in electrical repair, members of the volunteer organizing committee of the UAW. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob, for having us.
Yeah, we got plenty more to say. You can have us back.
All right. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.